Uh,
And that you can just type in the group like we're going to start the session in like 2 to 3 minutes, so everyone
yep,
can join in
sure,
ASAP. So I guess everyone has
sure,
started
sure.
coming. We already have 40 participants as of now, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I think without wasting any more of Shrey sir's time, we can start now. Uh, so, Anoki.
Good evening, one and all. So let's start the session. Like the French photographer Elliot Erwitt put it, to me, photography is an art of observation. It's about finding something interesting in an ordinary place. I found it has little to do with things you see and everything to do with the way you see them. Or, in the simple words of American photographer Ansel Adams, you don't take a photographer, you don't take a photograph, you make it. It is with great delight that I welcome you all for this extracurricular session on photography with our guest speaker, Mr. Shrey Arora, who is pursuing his Bachelor's of Management, and he is a keen and hardworking freelance photographer who has gained a cult following on not one but two of his Instagram pages, which portray his sublime and brilliant work. His end goal is to be a travel photographer. In addition to his photography, this multifaceted genius is a profound social worker and is also passionate about teaching and inspiring aspirational youngsters to pursue their own goals. Please welcome through your digital lenses Mr. Shrey Arora. Also, I would like to inform you that we will provide you a feedback link at the end of the session on the WhatsApp group, and you will receive the set of certificates on the basis of that, and that link will expire within 10 minutes. Thank you, and I welcome Mr. Shrey Arora.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I hope I am visible and audible. So, thank you, Anoki, for such a warm welcome. And as she said, you don't click an image, you create an image. So today here I'll be talking about myself because I'm a little obsessed. You'll get to know a lot about me after this, by the end of this workshop. And then I'll be teaching you how to create the images. So I welcome you all. And I have a lot of images for you all because I think I'm not a good speaker, but I do the conversation through my pictures. So with every slide, there is going to be a few pictures and a story behind it. So I hope you all will enjoy it. And I see there are a lot of participants, and so you guys can interact with me. After every few slides, I'll be taking up questions. So if you have anything, you can like just tell me or have a conversation with me. because I love having conversation with people as well. So yeah, let's start. Yeah. So who am I? So as you can see, there's a picture of me and a lovely friend of mine. So she has been helping out. She's been helping me out a lot. She helped me with everything which is not related to photography, being posting pictures of on Instagram or contacting with clients or public relations and whatnot. Unfortunately, she can't join us right now because she is busy in something, maybe something that I have given and she has to do it in time. So yeah, that's that. So as you can see, I am there with her, and we both are very happy. So that's what I feel like when I'm doing photography, or even when I'm talking about photography. That's how much interested and passionate about photography I am. So yeah, that's that. And as you can see, there's a camera that was my first DSLR camera, or you can call it professional camera, that I got in 2014. And after few years after that, I took up this thing seriously, and by the end of my junior college, I decided ki nahi yaar, now I have to pursue photography, and this is it. This is something I'm going to do all my life. So yeah, you can see there's a coin album there. There are pictures there, and on the right side you can see a few boxes and a Polaroid camera. So that's what I do. I travel places, I take pictures, I print them out, and I put it in my album. I stick it on my wall, and yeah, I do stuff like that. And I take Polaroids, I meet new people, I click pictures of them, and I talk to them. I make a conversation with them. I try to understand them. I collect stamps, I collect pencils of the hotels, whatever I can find to keep it as a memory, or something as a souvenir. And I don't buy souvenirs. I keep these pencils or whatever I can find because I am a little cheap. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, that's me. And so recently I did a trip to Goa. Yes, in this pandemic, I went to Goa in the month of January. And after that, I did two more trips because I can't stay at home. I just can't. So these are the top pictures that I took. On the right side, you can see this a beautiful lady there. It's from the Vagator beach. I saw she was playing with few of her friends as us. She has also graduated from some college in Chandigarh, and she's in her mid 20s. So she was playing with her friends. I went to her and I asked. I had a thing in my mind ki, there's this beautiful woman standing in the water like a diva or something, and I told her my vision ki, that's what I see when I saw you. So I asked ki, can I take few pictures of yours? So she was more than happy to do that for me, and I asked her ki, yeah, I'm going to share these pictures with you. So we took a couple of pictures, and this is the shot that we ended up with, and I really love this shot. If you ask me which is my favorite shot from that trip, I'm going to say this picture. And then on the left hand side, you can see a bird, that's a seagull. You can find lots of seagulls in Goa. So I have been seeing lots of seagulls from the past 2 3 days, and I was like, okay, let's make a shot of this. So I just took my camera and I took a picture of seagull, and after a lot of post processing, I ended up with this. So that's another picture that I love. And on the bottom left hand side, you can see a picture where there's a postcard in between. So what I like to do after traveling, and after I'm done traveling, I take a day, I edit those pictures at the same location, and I send postcards to my friends or whoever just pings me up on Instagram that they want a postcard. So if you are one of those people who like postcards and stuff like that, you can just ping me up anytime, and I'll be happy to send a postcard to you or to your loved ones. So yeah, this was the like I said, Vagator was the most beautiful. Malab, it was the only place where we saw the most beautiful sunset, because Goa has an unpredictable weather. So it was the only day when we saw a proper sunset. So I took a picture of this beach and I made a postcard and I sent it to everyone I knew. And then when I came back, I clicked this picture. I had to click it with all the souvenirs that I collected. I don't drink, so I bought a Jack Daniels just to keep it with me, because like everyone goes to Goa and like they drink and party and stuff like that. So I had to have a bottle of Jack Daniels as a souvenir. So yeah, that's that. Then I collect stamps. So unfortunately, they didn't had stamp related to Goa. So instead, they gave me something related to Jabalpur. So I took it anyway. So yeah, that's me. Then you can see a pencil there. I took it from the hotel, and there are pennies kept there. It was given by my grandmother. I had this from like very while, and I had to keep it somewhere and make some kind of picture out of it. So I kept it in this picture, and I thought it goes well with the picture. So yeah, that's that. Moving on, I just don't travel. I shoot automotive pictures as well. So I took a challenge upon myself on clicking pictures of cars and moving cars that I see on internet and stuff like that. So I woke up at 4 in the morning and I traveled Bhopal and I scouted few good locations. This is Tajul Masjid from Bhopal. It's a very famous location. If you'll Google it up, you'll find it's Asia's largest masjid. So I parked my car there. I can see this beautiful water sort of where people take bath. So I made this picture there. Then Bhopal is famous for lakes. So I took a picture alongside the lake where you can see the boat is also there. By the way, am I audible? Is my voice breaking up or something?
It did a while ago, but now it's fine, I guess.
You don't want me to repeat anything, do you?
No, I mean, it was pretty audible. So like we got that you went to Bhopal and you woke up one morning and you like
Great,
about the
great.
masjid.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I click cars as well, and I love cars. I watch F1, so I'm also passionate about racing and stuff like that. So I made these pictures. Then I have tried portraits as well. I asked one of my friends to come to my place so that I can shoot her pictures. As you can see, she is very beautiful. So she did a A1 job. I asked her to pose for like 6 hours, and she did a tremendous job. After the session, she was like uh, swearing a lot, but yeah, that's fine. I deserve that. So yeah, that's that. And then if you are living in India, you have to do weddings to earn a living. So yeah, I even do weddings. It's not key. I don't like weddings or stuff like that. Weddings are also even very fun. Um, so yeah, I just want to make that clear. So
Hello.
Yeah,
And Dash, I guess we have lost contact with Shrey. Hello, Shrey, can you hear us?
yeah, he's back. He's back.
We can ask him to. Can Anoki, can you unmute Shrey? Hello, Shrey.
yeah, yeah,
I guess some like you can hear us properly now.
yeah, I can hear you guys. Can
Okay,
you?
fine. Yeah, yeah, your video is bit lacking. I guess video is bit lacking right now.
Just I switched my internet connection. I guess now it will be fine.
Yeah, yeah, it's perfect now.
Okay. Okay, so shall I continue, or would you like to tell me that where I left so I can continue from there?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of lost you from the wedding scenario itself. So yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I was talking about weddings. So being a photographer in India, you have to do weddings. Otherwise, you won't be able to survive. But it's not something that I don't like doing weddings or stuff like that. I love doing weddings because wedding is a place where you can see a lot of emotions, people crying, laughing, enjoying, ek dusre ki tang kheenchna and whatnot. So weddings are also very fun. It's a little hectic, but yeah, they are very fun. So you can see I like happy pictures very much. So usually I put happy pictures in my portfolio. So some of the happy pictures for you. Then some more wedding pictures you can see on the left side. There's a groom, and uh, I love this groom because he's from IIM Bangalore, and that's something like all Indian people love. Ki very good in career and stuff like that, and he was very confident as well. So yeah, that's something background story about that guy. So yeah, I do weddings as well. So I do even food photography. Currently, I am doing a project with Bansal Group. If you guys have heard about it, if someone is into GK, you guys might have heard ki, they are constructing the first private station in Bhopal. So their son is doing a startup. So I'm working on that startup as well, and we are shooting over 2,000 pictures, food pictures for them. So these are some of them. So we have to shoot 2,000 pictures, and there's going to be some of weird, ugly food as well. We took that thing as a task as well. So in the center, you can see there's dahi and lady finger in that. So that's something very weird. I haven't had that. So, but we tried hard and we tried to make it tempting as well. Then there's egg. Egg is also something that you can't play a lot with that. So we tried to make that look tempting as well. And on the right side you can see egg burji. So we did something creative with that as well. So some more food photographs, because we are shooting over 2,000 food pictures and I love each one of the pictures that I shoot. So it's hard to like kind of stick with 3 or 4 pictures. So some more pictures for you all. Then the best part about my job is I get to meet a lot of people. I get to interact with a lot of people, and I try to take most out of it. I try to interact with them, talk to them, try to know their story. These are the few of the people that I met, and recently I've started taking pictures of them and trying to add their story or sum them up in 3 or 4 lines. I might not be justifying their personality, but yeah, I try to do that because that's something I love. So these are the few peoples that I met, and fortunately, I was able to take good pictures of them. So yeah, that was all about me. Now I'll be starting with the workshop. So yeah, uh, so there are 6 things. There are 5 of them are technical things, and 6 is the artistic thing, that is composition. And that's totally up to you. I can just give you some tricks and tips on composition, and you can pick those tricks up, and then it's totally up to you okay, how you work them. Acha, can anyone tell me that how many of you here have the DSLR camera, or everyone is the mobile phone shooter? I'll take the workshop accordingly. Like if everyone can drop message on in the chat box, or
I guess the chat box has been disabled in this session.
yeah, even I can see the
So
chat.
because I can't find the chat box here, but we can do
I
one thing.
guess
Like if you
Microsoft
want to
has
have an
been.
interactive session, we have a WhatsApp group for this session. We'll
Okay.
add you there and make it, and like all participants can text there if you want
Yeah,
us to have in that thing.
that's great.
Okay, so just give me 2 minutes and I'll just do that.
Yeah, sure.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I'm Ahmad. So, uh,
Hi.
hey, uh, I think most of us would have mobile cameras. So, uh, because I personally like to shoot with mobile camera more, and also I do not have a DSLR.
Okay.
And so, if you can also focus on phone camera also.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Sri. So we have added you on both the groups, and I will like open the groups for everyone to chat, so they can easily ask their queries if they are.
Yeah.
Okay. Just group settings, and I'm done. Okay. Okay, so everyone can send in the message in the WhatsApp group that we have.
Hi, Dr. Smita. Hi, Biju. Hi,
I
Yasser.
guess if I'm not wrong, Shrey is a very big fan of iPhone photography, if I remember from the last session.
Yeah, but I recently switched my phone to Google,
Okay.
and yeah, the like in professional industry they don't allow you to shoot the pictures from phone. So recently I'm not able to shoot the pictures from phone. But yeah, I really love shooting pictures from phone because that's the easiest way to click pictures. And
Yeah, that's right. iPhone photography is the best, I guess, as
yeah,
far as phone is concerned.
yeah. Even these days, other phones are amazing. Like you
Yeah.
can buy any phone and they have amazing cameras. Hi, Vedanti. Uh, Okay, so as I can see, there is a mix of people. Some of them have mobile phones and some of them have DSLR. So I'll be focusing on both the things, and you can just skip the part when DSLR comes. But I guess you should listen to it because these days mobile phone cameras are even getting advanced and advanced. So they also allow you to use all those settings and stuff that DSLR offers. Obviously, it won't give you that quality, but yeah, it'll help you to like improve and click amazing pictures. So yeah, basically there are 6 things that helps you to create an image rather than clicking an image. So I'll be focusing on these 6 things. There's image quality, white balance, exposure triangle, focus mode, and focusing points, metering, and composition. Composition goes everywhere. If you are clicking on a phone or DSLR, that doesn't matter. Metering is something that is very specific to DSLR and mirrorless cameras. So yeah, and focusing mode and focusing points. This is something that partially our phone cameras also have, which we do not usually focus on, which makes it that makes the difference in a good image or it's not a good image, because we don't focus through our phone, mobile phones and camera. That's usually before clicking a picture, just tap on your screen and focus the person. So that's basically focusing. Then there's exposure triangles. These days cameras have pro settings and pro modes where you can control your exposure. White balance, even cameras have this. Our mobile phone cameras have white balance. And image quality is basically in DSLR cameras only, but if you have high-end smartphone cameras like Samsung or OnePlus, so you can access that as well. So without further wasting anyone's time, I'll start with the workshop. So image quality. So there are 4 types of image qualities: basic, normal, fine, raw. As you can see on the screen, the difference between the image quality is the higher the image quality you go, the bigger the size of the image. So you can understand it by yourself. The more the data there is in the image, the more you can play with your images, like in terms of editing and post processing, because you have a lot of information in it and it helps you to it helps you to retain some of the things that you were not able to do while shooting. So if you are clicking a picture on basic, the image size will be upon between 4 to 5 MBs. Normal size will have between 7 to 8 MBs. Fine will have around 15 MBs. And if you are shooting on RAW, this is the heaviest file format, which is going to be between 36 to 50 MBs. Uh, you can find this option in your DSLR camera. On the right hand side, you can see the screen where it shows the kind of image quality you can select. And on the top right corner, you can also see the resolution it says. If I see, so you can see 50 mm 8680 into something. I can't see that because there's a this pop-up coming between that. So that's the image resolution. So that determines how much bigger the size of your image is. Basically, the image resolution means the number of pixels per side of your, like, length or breadth of your image. Like if it says 800 into 900, so it means there are 800 pixels in your length and 900 pixels in your breadth. And if you'll multiply that, you'll get the total number of pixels that your image has. So that's that. And I would recommend everyone to shoot on RAW. People usually don't shoot on RAW because it sometimes gets difficult to open the RAW files on your computer, laptop, or whatever device PC you are using. So for that, I would recommend to download Lightroom or Capture One, or whichever camera you are using. They also provide a software which you can use. If I'm not wrong, Canon provides Utility 3, and uh, Sony has something. I don't remember of Sony. So you can just Google it up, and so that you can access your raw images. And when you shoot on raw, you can see the difference. Like when I was shooting on raw, I couldn't be able to take my cup of coffee properly. But in the post processing, without losing any detail, uh, I can retain the quality of my retain the brightness of my image without losing any quality. So that's the power of shooting in raw. So if you start shooting on raw, you are half the professional photographer, because that's the key thing. And trust me on this, 40% of the photographers I know, they don't shoot on raw. I don't know why they don't shoot on raw, but yeah, they don't do that. So it's very important. If you can't access your raw images on your laptop because of some issue, you can't afford an expensive laptop or stuff like that, so I would recommend to shoot on raw plus JPEG. So what can you do? You can right now use your JPEG image, and later on, when you spend more money on your professional cameras or professional equipments, you can access those raw images as well. And by the time you'll get some knowledge as well how to edit raw images, so it will help you out in later on. कि you won't be feeling like यार मैंने पहले raw में shoot कर लिया होता, तो now I have the ability to access the raw images, तो मैं अब उसको better बना सकता है, या something like that. So yeah, moving on. White balance is basically when you see the light don't have any sort of color. It has the temperature. You might have heard about the Kelvin, that Kelvin unit of calculating the temperature. So same goes with light. The normal light which you have, that tube light which we have in our houses, it's uh, it's our fluorescent light, which is around 4000 Kelvin. And 4000 Kelvin doesn't make your pictures look good. Your pictures come good when it's between daylight, which is 5200, or on shade, which is on 7000. uh, People, there was a trend when people used to post sun-kissed pictures and stuff like that. So sun-kissed pictures ka basic funda and formula is ki they have shot it on daylight, which is 5200 Kelvin. It doesn't matter in it does matter in which light you are shooting, but if you are even shooting in your tungsten light or fluorescent light, you can change your white balance to 5200 or 7000. You will get a better looking image. But yeah, it's recommended to shoot during daylight or in the shade, because that's the best light. Or you can move to artificial lights. Usually these artificial lights also have the color temperature around 5200. So basically, white balance helps you while you are editing pictures, or if when you are shooting the pictures, to get the best colors and actual colors. We set our white balance. Like you can see on the right side and on the left side, both are the same images, but the white balance is different. This is around 4000 Kelvin and the other one is around 7000 Kelvin. Can you see the difference between the mood of the picture? In the right hand side, you can see the picture is very warm and very spring like looking, and like sun, it's around 7 8 a.m. when the sun is there, and it's a little warm and that sort of mood. And on the left hand side, you'll see that it's more of a autumn season when uh, leaves are falling off and it's a cold day, there is no sun in the picture. So this is the power of using white balance. You can change the mood and feeling of your picture. So uh, white balance, you can use it while you are clicking the picture or when you are editing the picture. You can do this both on your phone or DSLR cameras. Moving on, we have exposure triangle. This is something that everyone fusses about when they are learning about photography, because this is the key or fundamental or basics of photography, which you learn the first day you pick up a DSLR camera or you put your camera on a manual mode. So it's absolutely fine if you don't know about exposure triangle, or if you don't want to learn right now about the exposure triangle. It doesn't like make a very big difference in the starting. But yeah, if you guys are here, I would recommend to learn the exposure triangle. It's not that difficult. Like you will understand the whole concept in 15-20 minutes. So exposure triangle, it's called triangle because it is dependent upon three things, like the vertices of a triangle, which is shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. So as you can see in the image, aperture has a unit of f22, f16, f11. That's how it goes. And then at the bottom, if you'll see, there is ISO. ISO has the value of 50, 100, 200, 400, and so on. And shutter speed uses the unit of seconds. It's usually around 1 by 1000th of a second, 1 by 1/500th of a second, 1 by 250th of a second, 1 by 125 of the second, and so on. So yeah, these are the three things. We'll start with the shutter speed. So everyone here is a doctor and they might have read about eye. So try to relate with that. I would have explained few things about light, but few things about eye, but I don't think that would be right to do that, because some of you, I was not good at science, so many of you will be pointing out my mistakes. So just try to relate with your eye. So if we start with shutter speed is basically opening and closing of your camera. Like for how many seconds you are going to open your camera, you are going to let the camera see the world or whatever image you are see the picture you are going to shoot. So shutter speed is that. Usually we keep the shutter speed around 1 by 200th of a second, which is you just let the camera to be open for 1 by 200th of a second, which is very fast speed. So it allows you to like you might have seen people having shakes in the image and stuff like that. So those things won't happen if you are shooting at a higher shutter speed, which is like 1 by 200th of a second. Or you might have seen some freezing shots of like water dropping or stuff like that. So then we go more higher on the shutter speed. Those kind of pictures are shot at 1 by 800th of a second, or so on and so forth. And you might have also seen few pictures where there's a motion blur, like a man is running and the man is in blur, or the cars are moving, the tail light is you can see the line of the tail light. And those pictures are shot by keeping a shutter speed at a very slow speed. It could be between 1 second to like 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Or you might have seen or heard about star trails where stars are moving and the sky is full of stars. So those pictures are shot at a slower shutter speed. So this is the power of shutter speed and shooting the pictures at a manual mode. You get so much control by just using one aspect or one technicality of photography. So if you just want to try your hands on shutter speed and you don't want to like deal with other things. You can use shutter priority mode. This is only available in your DSLR cameras. This won't be there in the phone. So if you are a if you are a Sony shooter, there will be S mode, or Nikon shooter, there will be an S mode, which is shutter priority mode. Or if you are a Canon user, it will be TV mode. So in this mode, you just have to worry about shutter speed, and all the other things are taken care by your camera. It's basically the auto mode without shutter speed being uh, adjusted automatically. You are the king of adjusting the shutter speed, and other things will be taken care by your camera. Moving on, there's aperture. Aperture is the opening and closing of your aperture is the opening or the size of your lens. How much you want to open your lens. It will be a bit ironic. The larger the number of your aperture is, the smaller the hole size is, and the smaller the aperture is, the bigger the hole size is. That smooth and good looking blur that you see in your pictures, like a guy is standing in the center and the background is blurred, all the trees and stuff like that, that happens because of the shutter speed. They keep the shutter speed at a very lower number, like f2 or f1.8, something like that, which gives that sharp, crisp image of the person and everything blurred out in the background. And when you go on a higher aperture, the closing of the hole reduces the size, and you see everything clear. So your aperture doesn't only takes care of depth of field, it also allows the light to come in as well. So it is also a deciding factor key how much amount of light is going to come into your camera. So the bigger the number, the smaller the size of the hole, which means there'll be less amount of light in your camera. And when you are on the lower the number of aperture, the bigger the hole will be, and it will allow more light to come in. So that's all about aperture. And if you are interested to try aperture and you don't want to fuss about shutter speed and ISO, you can go for aperture priority mode, and then the camera will take care of all the other things and you don't have to fuss about them. It's usually A mode in Nikon cameras and AV mode in your Canon cameras, and A mode goes for Sony as well. So this is all about aperture. Then comes ISO. ISO is basically the light sensitivity. There's a sensor in your camera which tells how much to react to the light. So it's basically artificially your camera trying to be sensitive to the light. So usually we keep the ISO at 100 when we are shooting professionally, and we go as above as 800. We'll never recommend to go above 100, be it whichever camera you are using, because the grains you see, the noise you see in your picture, that comes because of the ISO. Just imagine you are standing alone in the night, there's nothing, no light or stuff like that, so you won't be able to see the things clearly, whatever is in front of you. Of course you will be able to see, but it won't be clear. So that's the purpose of ISO. When your camera is in low light, we go to a higher ISO so that we can see more of stuff. And if we have ample amount of light, we try to control it by shutter speed and aperture, and try to go as low as ISO. So how do we combine all these things and take a picture? So first, if you are on all manual mode and you don't know how to control all these things, you just toggle to your manual mode, then how do you go about like setting all those things? So first of all, you'll see your ISO. You will keep your ISO at 100. You won't go above 100. That's that. Then moving on, you'll decide the shutter speed. If you are clicking handheld, you are clicking handheld, you don't have tripod and support like that, you'll go to 1/200th of a second, because that will reduce your shake. That will give you that blurry picture that some of you might have seen. So I have set my ISO to 100. I have set my shutter speed to 1/200th of a second. Now comes the aperture. Now, depending upon how much amount of light is coming in, if my pictures are very bright, then I'll increase my aperture. And if my scene is very dark, then I'll reduce my aperture. Usually, most of you who might have been having a DSLR camera, they might be having 1855, which gives you around around 5.6. It lets you go down as low as 5.6 aperture, and you can go as up as f22. So yeah, and if you buy expensive lens like prime lenses, 50 mm or 35 mm, which are usually common among people, so they let you go as low as f1.8, which gives you a shallow depth of field, which gives that blurry background, stuff like that. So that's how you decide or make your uh, you keep your things on manual and set your aperture, ISO, and shutter speed. And moving on, I'll be telling more about these things. This is just the starting of the exposure triangle that I have given. Moving on, focusing mode and focusing points. So basically, there are two types of focusing modes: AFS one shot, which is static subject, and AFC AI servo, which is for moving subject. So what happens is, when you are shooting, you will interact with two kinds of subject: moving subject and static subject. So static subject is basically when you are doing product shoot, food photography, which do not move. So then you keep your focus on AFS one shot, which so basically what it does is, it won't change your focus continuously. When you are half pressing the shutter button, it will whatever is in whatever point it is focusing, it will keep that point in focus. So that helps when you are using a static subject, because it's not going to move, so you just have to focus one time. You don't have to keep on continuously focusing on it, or worry about ki it's going to move and I'm going to lose my focus. And when you are shooting a moving subject, then you use AFC, which is autofocus continuous. Like when you are doing wildlife, animals are going to move all the time, so you just focus on the eye and you keep on autofocus continuous. So it's going to move, it's going to shift its focusing point depending upon the subject. So these are two kinds of focusing points. If you have your camera, you can just toggle all these settings and you can just try to use them. So focusing points, you have to focus on some point, then only it will make sense to use autofocus continuous and autofocus static. So yeah, focusing points are that. So yeah, that's that. Then we have metering. So as I told you earlier, that camera works on exposure triangle. You have three things to worry about: your ISO, your shutter speed, and your aperture. So suppose I got my 100 ISO, I got my shutter speed 1/200, and now I have to decide what aperture I have to keep. Because see, when I'm going to click a picture, it's going to be dark or light, but what's that perfect sweet spot? Not everybody is going to like understand or have that kind of knowledge to get that perfect sweet spot. So there comes the metering points. What it does is, there's a bar underneath your camera which has a scale which says 0, +1, +2, +3, and on the left hand side there's -1, -2, and -3. So this tells ki what kind of what exposure triangle you have kept. Depending upon that and your scene, how much dark or light your picture is. So it's recommended to keep that spot on 0. So whenever you adjust your exposure triangle and keep your camera ready to shoot, then this bar will tell you how much bright or dark your picture is, and according to that you can toggle your exposure triangle. So now the thing comes here is कि your camera is not like your eyes. Our eyes compensate the pictures. Like there are different colors, and every color has the different ability to absorb and reflect the light. Like if you'll take a black color, it's going to absorb all the light it is given, and if you'll take a white color, it's going to reflect all the light is present there. So when you are clicking a picture, this defines how much light is going to come in your camera and how much bright and dark your picture is going to be. So suppose if there is red color, so everything is as it is, we are just changing the colors in our scene. Like I'm clicking a picture of a red paper, and all my lights are standard, and everything is just, think for a second that everything is going to remain constant for few minutes when you are shooting. So when you will shoot a red color picture, suppose your shutter speed is at 1/200th of a second, your aperture is at 3.5, and your ISO is at 100. You click a picture, your colors are absolutely fine, your picture is coming great. But as soon as you change it to yellow color, the picture is getting bright. It is happening because yellow is going to reflect more light than red. So so now here you have to decide what is your subject and how much light you wish to give to that subject. So here comes the play of metering. We like camera is going to tell you how much dark and light the picture is, but now here you have to decide ki what kind of a subject I'm shooting it here is, and what's the important in my subject. Like as I'll go along, I'll definitely hope that you guys will understand. So there are four types of metering points in the lower cameras. There are usually three: spot metering, matrix metering, which is also called evaluative metering, and center weighted metering. And if you are going to a higher models, you will also see partial metering. So let's start with spot metering. As I said, just imagine there is a scene when there is a red paper and a yellow paper. So here your subject, your main thing is your paper. You want that to be in perfect colors and perfect tones. So here you are going to use spot metering. When you use spot metering, your camera is going to ask ki, which point do I have to keep my spot on. Then you use your focusing point and select a point. So what it will do is your focusing point will keep it sharp, and now the spot metering will come in play, and it will tell you ki your exposure is proper or not, ki how much dark or light it is. So it won't give much importance to all the other things that are there. There might be a black background, there might be a green background, or etc. So it won't make a fuss about that. It will just focus on your yellow paper or red paper which is kept there, and it will try to tell you how much light is required to how much light is you need to compensate to get that proper. So that's about spot metering. Then I'll talk about the partial metering a little bit later, because most of you won't be having partial metering in your cameras. So comes the matrix metering or evaluative metering. So sometimes there won't be a thing like yeah, I just want to shoot that yellow paper or red paper or a single subject in my frame. You would want to take the whole picture with a proper light. Maybe when you are shooting, you are doing a landscape photography. There's no such thing as this is going to be my subject. Your whole picture is your subject. So here you will be using a partial metering or evaluative metering. Here what your camera will do is it will calculate all the colors and every aspect in your picture, and it will give you a average number. This is your perfect lighting thing, and you have to shoot according to that. So like when you are shooting landscape, or maybe when everything in your frame is very important and you want that clear, so then you are going to use matrix metering or evaluative metering. And if there is a definite subject in your picture, like you might have also seen the pictures where a person is there and behind it everything is in dark and black. So those pictures are shot by using spot metering, and the picture where everything is have proper lighting and stuff like that, that is shot using matrix metering or evaluative metering. Then comes center weighted metering. So now matrix metering calculate everything in your frame, but center weighted metering, what it does is it starts calculating from the center. Whatever is in the center, it is going to give more focus to that. And as you go to the edges of your image, reduce the it's going to reduce the importance to that, and then it will take out an average of most important things and the less important things, and give out club everything, and it'll tell you how much light you need, and so on and so forth. You can use metering. So these are the main technical aspects aspects of your photography: image quality, white balance, exposure triangles, focusing mode and focusing points, and metering. These are the factors that you keep in mind when you start shooting your picture. First of all, you'll take in mind that what kind of a quality you are shooting your picture in. So we know that we have to shoot in raw. Then we decide our white balance depending upon where we are going to shoot the picture. If we are shooting it in home, or if you are shooting it in home, so you know that it's going to be a tungsten light, so you need to keep your white balance at 3200. Or if you're using a flash, you know, you have to keep your white balance at 6000. Usually we may be shooting in the daylight or shades. That's the ideal condition. That golden hour we speak is usually daylight. At that time we keep our temperature at 5200. Then when we are done with that, we come to exposure triangle, and we decide what is our shutter speed is going to be, what our ISO is going to be, what our aperture is going to be. Then after deciding that, we go on focusing modes and focusing point. We decide what we have to focus on, and we decide what our subject is and what is important to us, and depending upon that we focus on that thing. And then comes the metering. Then after we have done everything, we check our scale, that metering scale, that is everything perfect, is all the amount of light that my frame needs, is that amount of light coming in, is it dark or is it bright, how much I need to compensate to get that correct. So yeah, that's the technical aspect of photography. If you have any doubts, please hit me up. Well, I'm more than happy to help. So yeah, any questions?
If you have any questions, you can raise your hand so we can unmute yourself, or like we can unmute you guys and you can ask direct question to Shrey if you have.
Hi, hello. Actually, I wanted to ask that the metering which you're talking about, is that the same as the histogram which is being projected on the
Yeah,
chrome?
so there are different ways. Histogram is something which is more technical. So if you don't have that knowledge of histogram, you can use metering. So both are different things, but there are different methods of doing the same thing now. So that's the thing. I hope I'm able to clear your doubt.
Yeah. So basically, we can use histogram also for that same thing, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Anyone else? Any more questions? Okay, then let's move on to composition. So yeah, these are the few pictures that are picked up after deciding, after looking at the composition. So all these pictures are technically composed. So you can just have a look at these pictures, and I'll just tell about these pictures as well. So on the left side, you can see a picture of a building. So basically it's the biggest mall of Bhopal. So we shot this picture. I knew there's a club in front of that mall, and it had a pool. So I went there and I shot this picture. It was the time of Diwali, so the mall was lit properly and it had everything. And I just threw in a small piece of stone so that I can get the ripples in the water. So that gave that effect in the water and the lighting. So that's the first picture. It's composed by keeping rule of thirds in mind. The top part, it's all black. In the center, it has the building, and at the bottom there's water. Then on the moving on to the next picture, there's a girl. She's like flipping her hair. So I just shot the picture of a movement. And the next picture there, there's a we went for a drive, and usually we go for a drive when there is a good weather and the good vibe around it. So it was a rainy season time, and it was a beautiful sunset. As you can see in the picture, there are trees moving, so there's a blurry effect in the trees, which states ki it was a windy day, and there was going to be a sunset, so you can see the sun rays, and the cars were moving, so it gives the feel of a busy evening. So then moving on the right corner, there's a picture. It was a very rainy day, and we went to have street food, basically momos and stuff like that. And so I noticed that I can't see anything from my rear view mirror, and it had water and moisture over there. So I just tried to click the picture of that so that I can give the feel of that rainy season. And at the bottom, as I told you, I'm a big fan of F1. So unfortunately, at that time I had my exam, so I was not able to go to see the race. But at the same time, my brother did went there, so he was kind enough that he let me open the tickets that came in the courier. So I was very excited, and like whenever I'm excited or something, I just click pictures. So I just opened the tickets, and everything that I had in my house related to F1, I kept there everything, and I made a picture of that. So it's just a basic flat lay. Then moving on the next picture, and there's a cafe in Bhopal which had a pretty aesthetic wall. So I made a shot of that. So good architecture, good work by the cafe people. So just observing and taking in that. And the last picture is I went in a fest in IM Indore. So there was this girl. She was very confident and like very powerful sort of girl. She gave brilliant speeches and things. So it was IM, and we had a topic ki we have to do something about women empowerment. We have to shoot something about women empowerment. So I asked her, chit chatted about her and how she got the confidence, and then I got to know about her personality. So I asked you, when I see you, I can see that there's a board of I am, that you are from here or you belong here or something like that, and you are walking there with with your powerful dress and woman empowered. So can I make a shot of that? So she was kind enough, so did the whole act for me. So like I made that shot. So yeah, composition. So the very basic thing of composition is rule of thirds. Whenever you pick up your camera or phone, there's a setting where you can turn on the rule of thirds. Basically, it gives two horizontal and two vertical lines, which lets you place different stuff in the different boxes. So it just helps you to like put all the different elements in different boxes, so that you get a more pleasing and appealing image. As you can see in this image, if you'll see the horizontal lines, on the top part there's the sky, and in between there's trees and buildings and everything like that, and in the bottom there's the road. So I differentiated these three things by putting these things in different boxes. And if you notice the vertical lines, you can see on the right side there's a building, in between and there's nothing much, and on the left side there's building again. So yeah, that's how you differentiate your things. So I keep all my rule of thirds always on my camera, and I try to differentiate different elements by keeping them in different boxes. So that really helps. If you remove these lines, you'll see everything in systematic order, and it'll give a better effect, a better pleasing effect to you when you look at images, if they are followed by using rule of thirds. So yeah, that's one composition technique. Moving on, there's symmetry. As we have all learned in the 8th grade mathematics, symmetry is basically if you will cut a vertical line or a horizontal line, you can fold your stuff and it will be identical. So, but unfortunately, it doesn't work that way in real life. everything won't be in proper symmetry. As you can see in this picture, on the right hand side there's only 45% of my image, and on the left hand side there's my 55% of my image. But if you fold this image, it's going to be very close to my symmetry. So that's how you like click the images in symmetry. It doesn't need to be in the center every time. You are just like following a pattern, or you're just trying to create a symmetry in the picture. So this is another way of clicking a picture. These are the composition techniques that makes your picture look a little interesting. If you start noticing these things, you'll become a better photographer from that very day. So then foreground interest and depth. When I was talking about the aperture, that the number of aperture, the lower the number of aperture is going to be, it's going to give you a blurry effect. And if there's a higher number in the aperture, it's going to give a crisp, sharp image throughout your image. So sometimes you can make simple things look beautiful by blurring things out. This happens because our eyes sees everything in focus. You are not going to like, there's a glass kept on my left hand side, I'm not going to see that glass, and everything else is going to blur out. So if we can't do this, but our cameras can. So if we click some pictures in that form, it gives a pleasing effect. Like maybe if this whole picture would have been sharp, so it won't have made much sense to you. But now you feel better connected, or you like the image more than you would have when it was all clear. So you can use this technique as well to make your pictures a little interesting. It even gives your viewer to give a bit of a guessing work, or use their imagination. If you will see this image, you'll see the background is blurred. There is a Coca-Cola logo over there. There's the table where the things are being served. So it gives me it gives me to it gives me to think a bit more about the picture. So that makes these kind of a picture interesting. So this is this. Then frame within the frame, this is also a very amazing technique. Frame within the frame is basically trying to find the frames in your frames, so that you can give more depth and more meaning to your pictures. As you can see in this picture, my frame has a building, and in that frame, that that door or that cutout is acting as a frame as well, which is giving me another picture at the back, which I can have a look. So it makes me more connected to the picture. It gives me a depth in the picture, that it makes that 3D-ness to the picture. So that's something frame in the frame which can help. You can try to find frames. Maybe you can use it as when you are going out, you see a wall and there's a hole in it. You can try to click a picture of that. You can see what's behind that wall through that hole. So that's frame in a frame, trying to find frame inside of a frame. Moving on, rule of odds. When just everything is kept in as similar things are kept, and you keep a different thing in between, so your eyes are going to look at that different odd thing, and it's going to catch your notice. So that's something that helps. You can use rule of odds. Maybe there are mangoes kept there, and between, if there is a green mango or unripe mango, so if you take a picture of that, your attention is going to go on that unripe mango. So this is another way of telling your story from your pictures. Breathing space is very important. As you can see in this picture, on the when the head uh, above the head, there is a space for that girl to breathe. Like if we are kept in a crowded area, we won't be able to breathe, we won't feel comfortable there. Same happens in the picture. Our subject needs to be given the breathing space from all its sides. You can see at the right hand side also, there's a gap from the end of the frame and the shoulder of the girl. And at the top, you can also see that there's a 2 centimeter gap between the head and the end of the frame of the girl. So it gives a breathing space. You can just keep your hand over the head of the girl, and you can try to imagine that picture, that it doesn't have that 2 centimeter gap at the top. So how would that picture feel? You won't feel comfortable looking at that picture, because your subject is not comfortable in that frame. Or you can keep your hand on the right side of the frame, and you can see when the shoulders are being cut, you won't feel comfortable looking at the picture because your subject is not comfortable. So this is something else that needs to be kept in mind while you are shooting pictures. Moving on, simplicity and minimalism. As Dr. Hani said, I'm very much into phone photography. So I bought my new Pixel and I had to make a picture. So I took my iPhone and clicked a picture of that. It had nothing in it. There's just that white button which is in focus, which makes this picture attracting and appealing. It's very simple and basic picture. When you can't think of anything, or you don't have much to say, just try to be as simple and as minimalistic as you can. It might seem to you that clicking a simplistic and minimalistic image is very easy, but when you'll start clicking pictures, you will figure it out, how hard it gets to click simple images. Maybe you'll find maybe there's a stain on that table which you won't like it, or maybe the box is a little crooked. So when you are clicking a simple image and minimalistic image, you have to keep all those things in mind, because simple images needs to be perfect. You can't keep crooked things or stuff like that, or you can't have that little stain on your image which will ruin it or catch the attention of your image. So there are hundreds of composition techniques that you can learn, or you can find it up on Google. But I won't be like going crazy with those hundreds of techniques. These are the few techniques that I use on a daily basis, and if you master these composition techniques, you can be an amazing photographer. It doesn't matter if you don't use those complicated methods of using exposure triangle, ISO, shutter speed, and aperture to click a picture. If you just concentrate in composition, then you are definitely going to be a better photographer. Or maybe you know all about exposure triangle and you still don't get amazing pictures, then you need to like give a more thought to your composition, and then you'll be able to be a better photographer. Then moving on, there's this human element. We are humans, we interact with humans on a daily basis, and we that's our regular thing that we do. So if we start putting humans in our pictures, we'll feel more connected with the pictures because we interact with them on a daily basis. We are comfortable with interacting with the humans. So if there's a human element, we'll feel more connected with the images. Like on the left you can see, like there is a hand. So yeah, of course, while you are eating pakoras, you are going to use your hand, so hand is there. While you are using your laptop, you are going to track it with your fingers, so hands are there. So then there's this hot pan, so oven mitts are there, and a lady with her apron is holding that. So that gives a very personal touch of feeling. You can connect with those pictures very easily. And the last picture on the right hand side, you can see a guy with his hand looking, he was maybe um, looking out of the picture, looking out of the frame or window, and now he is looking down. So it gives that mysterious look of that person, why that person is standing there, he is going to do, and stuff like that. So yeah, that's that. Then comes the movement captures interest. So you can always add movement to your pictures. These movements can be added by giving a slower shutter speed, like giving a movement blur, as you can see on the right, or keeping a higher shutter speed, which freezes the image, which freezes the water effect. So this is another way of making your pictures interesting, because as I said, your eyes can't see the pictures, your eyes can't see on a normal basis like this. So if you click a picture like this, it'll definitely going to look appealing to you. So yeah, that's the end of my workshop. These are my Instagram handles. If you want to look at more of my pictures, you can definitely connect there. Or if you were not able to like chit chat with me or ask questions, or if you have any questions later on, you can definitely hit me up there, or just simply follow me there, and like, be updated of what I do and where I go. So yeah, thank you everyone for listening to me for 1 hour like crazy. And thank you, Dr. Honey, for giving me this opportunity. And let's move on to Q&As, I guess.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shrey Arora, for being here and elucidating us and giving a good beginner plus a little sort of intermediate knowledge about photography. And so, if anybody has any questions regarding this session or regarding photography, please feel free to unmute yourselves and ask any question to Shrey. You guys can also ask the questions on the WhatsApp group if that is more comfortable to you guys. So I had one question. It was regarding the panning technique, the one that you showed in automotive, the one about you clicking pictures of a car in a moving way where the car was still, but the background was sort of blurry. So I've also tried, I own a DSLR and I also try to capture those sort of pictures. It's known as panning, I guess. But I always kind of fudge it up. So can you give me some pointers, some tips about this technique?
Okay, so there are few things that you need to keep in mind. So when I shot this picture, there were two cars. I was in another car, and both the cars were moving on a constant speed, which was 60 kilometers per hour. And you need to be very careful about the road and road safety. That's very important. So we were doing it
Yes.
early morning at 6 a.m. So and the road was very clear. So there was no issue with that. So first you have to keep in mind of that both the cars are moving at the constant speed. The one you are shooting, the one in which you are shooting, and the one you want to shoot. So both the cars have to be at same speed. And the second thing to be kept in mind, you might get the blurred picture of your subject, which is car. That happens because you are clicking the picture at a wide open aperture. It may be f3.5, f2.8, because you are going high on your shutter speed. So you need to compensate that by opening up your aperture. But you need to keep in mind that a car is a very big subject, so you need to have a bigger aperture, because when you go as you go to a wide aperture, it's going to focus on a particular point. But your car is a big subject, it needs to be have multiple points which needs to be covered. So you should always keep your aperture at 5.6 or 6.3, something like that. And you have to compensate your like light with your ISO. So that's the key things that you need to keep in mind while shooting like
Got it.
automobile photography.
Yes, yes, okay. Yeah, that was my only question. If anybody else still has any question. I guess you are so clear and concise and to the point with your explanation that nobody has any questions. So I guess we can end it here. Thank you so much for taking out the time and doing this session with us. And thank you to all the participants for being so keen to learn new things. Thank you.
Welcome.
To the participants, I'll put the link in the WhatsApp group for the feedback form, and from that only you'll get your certificate. And keep in mind that this link might expire in 10 minutes, so be a bit quick to fill that up. Thank you guys again for being here. Take care. Bye.